I'd read about species dysphoria, which is kind of a growing phenomenon in which a person believes that they're an animal trapped in a human body. And I initially thought it could be an interesting documentary, but then I felt like I wanted to have the freedom to take this into a completely different sphere and use my imagination and, I suppose, reinvent what I found interesting about this real illness, which I think in the end has led this film to being much more a film about identity and how we define ourselves rather than necessarily sort of factually about species dysphoria. I found it sort of, fascinating that a person might believe that they're an animal trapped in a human body, and, where does that, if someone really, really feels that, does that become legitimate? And I imagined I started creating this world, which is the zoo, the clinic, in which the film is set, in which I imagined that there's a lot of these teenagers who perhaps don't quite feel really that they're an animal, but have different issues or personal quests or problems that have led them to identify with an animal as a form of escapism. And then one boy who really, really, really feels that he is a wolf, and how this kind of these different forms of relationship with this illness interact with each other. I mean, even is it an illness actually? It's set in a kind of world that is our own. In my vision for the film, it's certainly like our world and very familiar in many ways, but also sort of slightly removed and increasingly strange and bizarre as we progress through the film. Jacob Wolf is a very mysterious character. I told George when I cast him that I didn't fully know this character until, then that this would be the discovery of the film, was to get to know who he was, and that we would have to find him together, because in a way he's certainly the lead character of the film, but he is also the most enigmatic, and I think, the one who has been fleshed out so much through a collaboration with George.